Hello, my name is Henry Migliore. I'm here today to help you develop a 5-year strategic plan for your business, church, or organization. Are you struggling with the vision and purpose for your business? Are you struggling with the potential of what your business could be over the long term? Do you have a measurable target that you're aiming toward? Does everyone in your organization know exactly what you're trying to accomplish? Are you struggling with how to get people involved with the business plan, how to get them excited about the plan? Do you see people that are just not excited about what you're trying to accomplish? If you're having any of these kinds of problems, stay with us. We're going to specifically take you through the step-by-step procedure on how to put together a workable, action-oriented business plan. We're going to give you the keys to success on how to turn a business plan into a strategic management process. Stay with us. Over the past 20 years, I've had the opportunity to work with major corporations, with nonprofit organizations, small businesses, churches and ministries. I've had the opportunity to help them develop strategic direction. I've seen disorganized situations, companies and organizations, hotels, ministries, just at the brink of failure. I've seen the methods that we're going to talk about on this program create an action plan, create direction, rally people around that plan, and then I've seen them successful over the long term. Now, the topic we're really talking about today is what we call strategic long-range planning. A strategic plan, by definition, is something that says, here's where we are now. It recognizes where you've been, and then it forces you to look right out there in the future and say, where do we want to be in 5 or 10 years? We're trying to create a target so that everybody in the organization can look at that target and say, hey, that's where we're going. So many times, we leave people out of the planning process. We're going to talk about the 2 P's. The 2 P's are key to the success of a plan. Now, one of the P's is what I call product. You must have the plan in writing. A business plan that's not in writing is then nothing more than just a conversation and a lack of commitment. Anybody should be able to open the plan up, to look at the plan, and because it's in writing, be able to see each of the steps that we're going to cover in this program and thoroughly understand specifically what the plan is and the direction that the plan's trying to take you. The second P is what I call the P of process. Now, what process means is that you get people involved in the plan. What I've seen happen over time, when you get 2 or 3 people together and put a plan together, if you don't involve the people that are executing the plan, they have what I call the a masking theory. They'll put a mask on, and as you're explaining the plan, they're going to nod. We've learned to do this in business and organizational life. Oh, hey, great plan. Yes, that'll work. Then as soon as the meeting's over, nothing ever actually takes place. Now, the key to getting your plan executed is getting the people involved in the plan. And we're going to go through and show you on this program how to get that involvement. If you get involvement in each step of the planning process, then when it comes execution time, everybody's bought into the plan, everybody understands the elements of the plan, everybody understands the choices. So many times there are any number of choices and decisions you can make: products, product territory, pricing. And if everybody's been involved in the discussion, then they understand, and when you embark on one particular alternative, the questioning, the whispering behind your back, and the struggle and lack of commitment just isn't there. So we're going to cover each step of the way, how you get the plan in writing and how you create that process. Now, in my book on strategic planning, in the first part of the book, I trace where strategic planning and management came from. You can go all the way back to the Bible and see that there was organization. You can see that there were objectives set. Now, if you trace on through time, you'll see that Peter Drucker in 1952 introduced the concept of management by objectives. I had the opportunity to study under and be with Dale McConkey, the University of Wisconsin, and George Odiorn at Eckerd College. Both of these men wrote the classic MBO books in the mid-60s. What I've seen then happen from the mid-60s on is MBO has evolved into a strategic planning process. It's gone from a short-term, here's our objective, here's how you agree upon it, here's how you create the performance review. It's evolved from that state into what I call now a 5-year strategic planning process. All of this is traced in more detail in the book, and it's important to have that thorough understanding of the successes and failures of MBO, of what other people have said about strategic planning, so that you can set the stage yourself to begin with the very first step in the planning process. Now, early in the book, I present my own model of strategic planning. Now, that particular model shows you 9 steps. And briefly, we're going to cover each one of those steps. The first step is how to develop the purpose or mission statement. The second step is how do you get information in the environmental analysis stage. How do you gather the information you need to make a sensible, good set of business decisions? The third step is how do you analyze your strengths and weaknesses? How do you dig in and really understand your own strengths and weaknesses so that you know what targets to set? The fourth step, we come back and we talk about assumptions. And we'll specifically give you examples. Every plan must be based on a minimum of 2 or 3 good assumptions. Then we'll come back in step 5 and say, now, specific long-term targets. How do we determine what those 5-year targets should be? Do those 5-year targets, if met, help you achieve the purpose, vision, and mission of your organization? Then, how do you organize strategies for each objective? So many times in business plans, I see targets which in most cases are only financial, but there's never a strategy or an operational plan on how to achieve those specific objectives. So we're going to talk about strategy development. How do you get good ideas out of your organizational members on how to meet the objectives? Then in step 7, we're going to come back and say, now, how do you get the plan into operation? How do you get the plan executed? Step 8 then is what about evaluation and control? Is the plan on target? How do you monitor the plan? How do you create a performance appraisal system that is rewarding, energizing, and exciting for your people? Then the 9th step talks about how do you drop down from the subset of objectives and create individual plans, create functional plans. How does the marketing plan, the production plan, the financial plan, the human resource plan, how do these functional plans support the overall strategic plan? Now, let's just take each of these topics one at a time. The very first is your purpose and mission statement. In the purpose statement, what you're trying to do is get into writing the vision, the mission of your business. What business do you want to be in? Are you a national, international, regional, or local organization? Are you profit or non-profit? In every purpose statement, I like to see the word service. Whatever business, organization, or church we're in, we're serving some need in the marketplace. After all, if you're not meeting a need in the marketplace, or if you're not serving, then there's probably not a good reason for your organization to be in existence. So your purpose statement wants to identify that broad brush, that broad business. What business are we trying to be in? Now, the way I usually accomplish this is I recommend to organizations to do one of three things. Either go on a 2 or 3 day planning retreat where you can take your top people away from your plant, your organization, or your business or church, and get them off-site so they can sit down and go through each of these processes. I've done that with many companies, many organizations over the last 20 years. A second thing you can do, have regular, periodic breakfast meetings. A third way is what I call a brown bag luncheon planning meeting. We did this with one of the major oil companies. Every 2 weeks, we got together for about 2 hours over a brown bag lunch and went through each step of the planning process. But as you can see, it takes the involvement of your managers. It takes study. The material has to be read, and you take things one step at a time. So let me describe to you now how to develop a good purpose statement. Of course, first of all, you read the material in the book so you can see examples of other purpose statements. Then you have each person on your retreat, in your luncheon or breakfast meeting, write out on a separate sheet of paper the vision they have for the company. What business do they think they're in? Each person is individually writing out on paper, here's what I, Henry Migliore, think we're trying to do in this company. Now, the second step then, once they've written that out, and that's been your homework assignment, then you break the group into smaller little subcommittees. So, for example, with a retreat, in a retreat setting, I had a major U.S. corporation, had about 20 of their top executives. I broke them up into 4 groups. And I said, okay, now spend about an hour and a half, discussing your purpose and mission statement. At each table, have a scribe. You're going to report back. Then what I do is move from table to table, listen in on the discussion, do some monitoring, asking questions, but generally stay out of the discussion. I usually recommend that the chief executive or the highest ranking